Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Agents of MACE. The wait is over. We're back for episodes 4 and 5 of Loki. And boy, oh boy, are things just getting crazier and more confusing. And I don't understand why every time I watch an episode of Loki now, I want a big old plate of spaghetti. But we'll get into it. So we're going to start this week with episode 4. And first thoughts. I mean, I can go first this time. I really liked it. I think we're getting to the point where so much stuff is happening that things that I thought I wouldn't like about the show, I really either don't notice or I enjoy, which I think is a good thing, because I feel like with so much stuff going on and so many potential outcomes, I could see thinking that the show is sort of like a, I don't know, like a gotcha moment. But I think that they're doing it in such a fun way, in an exciting way, that it feels more like a present. Like this last episode, we're going to get something really cool. So that's, I don't know. I'm really enjoying it.
Unless they're doing all of this to promote some kind of like new McDonald's menu item.
Spaghetti.
That would be like pure, like, that's like the Steve, that's like Loki when he's all like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna play tricks and get you, like his whole gotcha gag. That would be so cruel. I don't think they're gonna do that. I hope not. But I get what you're saying. Like 4 and 5, for me, this is like peak television. Like I just think everything's like really tight, really on point. 4 was really fascinating in terms of like just the number of like ideas and predictions and hopes that I could see be the outcome of this. And then 5 almost has this like Infinity War, like end game approach to it, right? Like getting this team together. And then now we're kind of at this point of like, what is this all leading to? Like, especially being like this time travel show of like, this is all coming down to a specific point in time, but which time is it? And is it going to be, I just feel like that's what's going to be the big thing. It's like, I think everyone's going to think they know where he's going to go, and it's going to be something like no one really thought of. And it's going to reset the course of like a lot of things. I think, yeah, it's just this is the biggest question for me. This is like really opening up is just like the MCU as a whole of where it is, because it's just so like ups and downs right now. And it's like difficult because Loki is so solid. It's so well done. And I just hope for the best of like where everything's going to go after this.
How about you?
Yeah, these 6-episode seasons are going to kill me. We need 9, we need 10, we might need 13. They can't throw all this stuff at us. They can't do this. Yeah. It's illegal. And also, one major difference that I've noticed between this season and last season is that this season has not let Loki do anything fun. Remember how excited he was when he got to go to Pompeii last year?
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, every single episode has been stressful. He has not even gotten to talk through all of his stuff with Sylvie. The TVA is gone. He's worried that he's losing all of his friends. Like, this has been so interesting to watch, and I have enjoyed every single episode. But at the same time, I'm very stressed for my boy. What is happening? I have been waiting so long for him to have a single happy ending.
Oh yeah.
One of these days.
I'm very like enthusiastic about the fact that we get to talk about these last 2 episodes now, because yikes.
Yeah. I think obviously episode 5 is a little fresher on the mind than episode 4, but I think episode 4 did a great job of continuing to build the tension without feeling like a box episode. Like, I was nervous once they got back to the TVA that we weren't going to go anywhere. We were only going to be in the TVA because that's where everything is happening. But they do a really good job of sort of like humanizing all of these characters, and also we're getting to the point now where it's like telling more of their backstories, which is fun and interesting, because so far their backstory is, I don't know, I've always been here, and it's like, oh no, that's not right. I will say that I feel like Ouroboros should be doing more. Like, it seems like he knows a lot about how the stuff works, but when it comes to actually doing anything to fix stuff, he's just like, yeah, you guys need to do this. And it's like, what? But you know the most about how it works. Shouldn't you be the one to do it?
No, you've got to do it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So then it sort of, like, I don't know, because I'm straying further and further away from thinking that Ouroboros has anything to do with Kang, other than he was like the first one there, so he knows the most about it, and he's really smart. But at the same time, it's almost like, is there some sort of like sinister plot going on, since we're kind of jumping all around, but at the end of episode 4, he basically, like, well, you learn that he knows who Victor Timely is, and then Victor Timely's the one that's like, yeah, I'll do it, I'll go out there and plug the machine in that's going to expand the temporal loom, and then he gets spaghettied. And all I can think is, was this part of his plan? Like, did he know that was going to happen? I feel like he would know that it was too...
I mean, this is definitely like, I think I view this as like, so there's so many comparisons and even different things that we could get into with this particular moment. But I kind of view this back in terms of Quantumania, right? When you got Scott Lang that's kind of trying to fix this thing, and it, he kind of goes through this as well, but it's also like what creates these multiple variants of him, including like the off ones, the random ones that aren't really Ant-Man, but it's him and as like the ice cream guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what this is the moment that puts Kang everywhere. This is like the creating of the variants of Kang. And this was like the whole part of the plan. So this is the moment that I'm stuck on, is like, is Loki going to want to go back to the moment where they meet He Who Remains and prevent Sylvie from killing him? Or what happens if they choose never to go see him? Like, what would be the outcome of that? And that's what these are the moments I'm thinking on. But that's kind of what I expect is happening here, is like, Victor Timely is basically spread out and now created all these variants. So it's like, could they go find another variant of Victor Timely and prevent that one from doing it? Or like, are they going to have to go do something else?
Yeah. I don't want to discredit episode 4, but I do want to get into episode 5 a little bit, because a lot more questions, I think stem from the outcome of episode 5. Basically, like, Loki is time slipping again.
Mm-hmm.
And he's time slipping, and he doesn't know how to control it. But you kind of get the sense that, like, there's potential for him to be able to control it. And it seems like it's taking him to people that he knows in the timeline. So it's really cool. We get, similar to season 1, where you find out that, like, Loki was DB Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Alcatraz when the 3 like famous criminals break out of Alcatraz, and you find out that Casey is one of those criminals. So it was Frank. And
he's Frank Morris.
Yeah. And I was like, this is really cool. I don't understand what's happening, but it's really cool. And then he goes and he sees Morbius. Or Mobius, not Morbius. He goes and sees Mobius, who is running a jet ski dealership. Surprise. And that's how he kind of like cobbles this gang together. But my thought is, if he can control his time slipping, at least to like when and where, because it used to be whenever he time slipped, he would time slip to the exact same like physical space, just at a different time. Now he's like time slipping to completely different places at different times. If he could control that and go back and change something that would stop, say, like them even meeting He Who Remains, or stop them from killing him, or something along those lines, we know that it will affect the future. So is that where this is going? Like he's learning that he can blip around time and space, and he's going to use that to solve everything? Or is that some sort of like power that he only has because the temporal loom is overloaded? And like if he went back in time, would he be able to then blip back to the future? Or would it be stuck because that never happened, so he fixed the temporal loom problem? Time travel doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
It's like, is this really? It's like, is this a temporal loom problem, or is this a Kang problem? Or is it kind of both, and you got to figure out which one to resolve first? Or is this an OB problem?
Yeah. Is OB actually Kang, and the Kang that we know, Victor Timely Kang, isn't actually Kang? It's just like a pretender Kang.
Are we even going to get into the whole like Reed Richards' father scenario? Because there could be that as well.
What?
Well, and that's
Victor Time, like there isn't there like an arc where like Victor Timely is just like a code name, but he's really like a Richards, and like he's like a descendant of Reed Richards.
I think so, yeah. I think I saw.
I don't know if he sees father. It's like his grandfather, maybe. I can't remember.
I know there's a. I was like, I know there's like a Fantastic Four Easter egg in episode 5, but it has to do with the house number that Mobius lives at. So, but yeah, I mean, this is the perfect time for them to introduce some Fantastic Four stuff. I know they won't, but literally time travel and space travel is their jam. So, but I mean, I agree. I think it was really fun to have this sort of like get the gang back together, and they all sort of have no idea what they're doing. Like, I love that Casey's sort of like, I'm just gonna borrow this so it can take me anywhere, right? Like inside a bank vault, and you're just like, I feel like there's other things that you should be worrying about, but
it is like a cute nod to the fact that Frank Morris was an actual bank robber. That's why he was in Alcatraz.
Right. And he didn't care that he went through a time portal with people he's never met before. He just cared that like, oh, this thing could put me inside a bank vault. And then what's her name? Hunter 512 or something.
B15.
B15. There you go. Yeah. She was like a nurse. And I feel like of all of the people that he brings together, she's the only one that seems concerned about the situation. Like Mobius is just kind of like, yeah, man, like I'll go.
Did y'all catch B15's real name in the credits?
No.
Oh, I know.
Her name tag, she's Dr. Verity Willis, which if y'all have read the Loki comics, y'all know that Verity is Loki's BFF that, first of all, I can tell if you're lying, and likes to hang out and eat ramen noodles with him, which is not the kind of character that B-15 is, but it would be cute if they turned out to be better friends in subsequent seasons because she's Verity Willis.
In Agent of Asgard, aren't they roommates?
I can't remember if they're roommates or if they're just always at each other's house.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I remember like constantly every time he goes back to an apartment, she's there, and I'm like, she just live at his house. That's cool though. I like that they're including stuff like that, and I hope that they expand on it. I will be honest, I was kind of hoping we would see some more Loki variants again.
Yeah.
I mean, now that there's the timeline is so split, you'd think that there would be more than just him and Sylvie, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they're all at the end of time.
Question that as well. Like, oh, such a fun part of season 1. It'd be nice to like have another moment like that, but.
Yeah.
Oh, did y'all? I'll ask this later. We keep bouncing around so much.
What?
Yeah,
well,
yeah. Go ahead.
We didn't really get a true post-credit scene, but we did get a post-credit moment, which was what? It was just like a sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was from the Zaniac game.
Oh, it was from the game. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it said you died. Insert a coin, loser. I'm wondering if Zaniac is going to be that going to be a bigger part in this? Like, I mean, we know we can, before we get into this, we could talk about what happened to Brad really quick, because there was a very dark scene where Ravonna and not Miss Minutes. No, yeah, Miss Minutes, right? Yeah, she's back to terrorize everyone. And they basically like grab everyone they can from the TVA, and or I guess it was all the people that were being like held in the TVA dungeon, and put them in a room and ask them to give them information, and then turned on the little box shrinky device, and then got the information and shrunk the box on everybody, and you just hear a bunch of really gross sounds, and it was pretty dark. And
Miss Minutes was so into it.
Yeah. Miss Minutes is definitely not the fun, exciting clock from the first season. But when that happened, I was like, oh well, there goes any chance of Zaniac showing up. But then we see the game, we get this sound effect from the game. Is Zaniac gonna be like another version of Brad from a different timeline? Or maybe he didn't get squished and they just tricked us and we thought he got squished?
Did they get reclaimed by the timelines whenever the thing happened because their DNA was there?
Maybe. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, like the TVA hasn't noodled yet, right?
It noodles at the end of episode 4, right?
Right. But then he goes back in time, right? That's when he like realizes he can time slip.
We have gotten back to pre-noodling now at the end of episode 5.
Yeah. So yeah, like how does that work? If they've already noodled and now we're pre-noodle, could the already noodled versions be back in the timeline? Is that how time works?
They can make time do whatever they want it to do. That's how this works. It's magic.
Yeah.
Also, did any of y'all look up spaghettification after watching this episode?
No, that seems
'Cause-
scary.
Yeah, so I had to see if, because this is an actual theoretical process that is discussed in like astrophysics, what happens to you when you get into something like a black hole with like extreme like forces.
Mhm.
And I was like, does it like do you noodle? Is that what that is? And turns out no. It's actually you get turned into a noodle because you were being stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched, like at a molecular level and being pulled into whatever thing it is. So it is not complete noodling, it is singular noodling.
It's turning into noodle.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I guess temporal energy does the same thing as gravity in this particular case, except, again, multi-noodle instead of a noodle.
So then the question becomes, if you noodle through a black hole and you come out the other side, are you just a noodle, or do you de-noodle as you come out?
Do you like
Yeah. Are you just like really tall?
Can you imagine if like this series was going on when like the Big Bang Theory was still running, getting an episode where they just like, talk about this?
There's just so much that like seems like plausible because I don't know anything about whatever this study would be, the study of time. But at the same time, it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. And also, we've seen you guys break these rules thousands of times in this universe, which again, I get it's a comic book. We're not watching a documentary, but I need some clarification. I need some like solid rules that apply from now on.
We're not gonna get them.
Yeah. I did want to talk about sort of like an idea for a outcome of Loki, in that Loki's going to end, the Marvels is going to come out. Early on, I feel like there was a chance that there would be some sort of tie-in, crossover, something. Now, what would that possibly look like? I have like this just seems so far removed from everything else in the Marvel universe, other than potentially Doctor Strange or Fantastic Four, which we're not getting another one of those for a while. Could this be an introduction thing to X-Men, or an X-Men, or a mutant? Or could this be an introduction to some potential new villain? Or do we think that we're really going to like double down and stick with Kang as the big bad here?
I feel like that's difficult to answer. It's so tough right now because there's so much news. I mean, I think it makes it difficult with just the whole Jonathan Majors situation, because we don't really know like where his role will be after this. It's like, right. Could they be setting? Yeah, I mean, I would love it if they would start bringing in like Doctor Doom and getting ready for Fantastic Four. I don't expect from Loki that we'll get anything like mutant or X-Men related. I would expect that more from the Marvels, just because of like piggybacking off of like the Miss Marvel series and what they did there.
Yeah.
There is some you can go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I just don't want, it seems like the show is potentially setting up that he goes back in time and stops them from killing Kang, so that realistically we're just back to where we were before the end of Loki season 1, and that's how the season's going to end. And I don't want it to be a waste. Like, I really am enjoying the season. Yeah. So I want there to be some sort of like lasting effect from the season, not just like we got to hit the reset button really quick because we broke time. Okay, now we fixed time. Now it's normal.
It's like you would think Loki would want to reconnect with Thor,
Mhm.
or at least like,
Yeah.
you know, in the terms of warning everyone, like, hey, like, and this makes me feel like, could Ant-Man be could we get a tie-in with Ant-Man, since, you know, Scott has had this connection with Kang already?
I did just recently see something that I'm 99.9% sure was fan made, but
Mhm.
it said that there's a script being worked on that is Tobey Maguire and is it Mahershala Ali's Blade potentially? I don't know. I would have to look it up, but it was like I know it was Tobey Maguire and it was somebody else, and it was going to have to do with more multiverse stuff. And I was
Yeah,
like,
pretty sure I
cool.
saw that as well.
That sounds messy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I thought it was
Excuse me.
it was Maguire Spider-Man. I thought it was Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Maybe that. Yeah, that's
Oh
what it
yeah,
was.
I've seen
You're right.
that.
Yeah.
Saw it. Yeah, it's weird. It's very, as I said, messy.
Yeah, and like cool, but
It would be cool if the rumored story or plot line of Deadpool 3 is accurate. I could see how all that could fit together. But yeah.
There have been several people that I've seen saying online that they think what this season of Loki is actually supposed to end with, especially given the cryptic posts that we've seen on the official Thor and official Avengers Instagram pages, that Loki will wind up taking the sort of throne as He Who Remains. And being the one trying to control or stabilize time, protecting the TVA, that kind of thing. And I do get that. I think that makes sense. I mean, I'm not sure if that's exactly how I want the season to end, but I get it. But I have a competing theory that is probably eons stupider. But hear me out. So my stupider theory. So we learned in episode 5 that Mobius's actual name is Dawn in his jet ski salesman life. We also learned that he has 2 extremely rambunctious sons, that his wife has left or disappeared, which this is also during the snap. So it's possible that his wife got snapped.
Mm.
And so the name Dawn catches my attention because if we recall, that was Thor's Earth name, that he was Dr. Dawn Blake. And so my stupid theory is, what if Mobius is a Thor variant? And the finale is about reuniting Loki and Thor via Mobius, essentially. It could be about reuniting Loki and the Thor that we know, the Chris Hemsworthy Thor, because that would be very sneaky of them. And if Loki has the sudden ability to alter reality, I think that he might do something like that. But yeah, I just thought, why would they name him Dawn if it's not saying that he's a variant, or possibly just that this is that level of relationship in Loki's life, that this is his brother from here on out.
I mean, that's 100% my new favorite theory. That
would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm all bought in on it. I think I did see something recently that they're trying to do. They're thinking about making another Avengers movie with the original Avengers, because Marvel's not super jazzed that the last couple movies haven't done well. I don't know that has anything to do with the actors, but that's just me. So this could be a way to, reintroduce Chris Hemsworth Thor as not space Viking Thor and more Norse mythology Thor again.
But also, how cute would it be if Loki did meet current Thor and he found out that he has a niece now?
Yeah. Yeah. Uncle Loki, keeper of time.
Adorable.
Man, now there's just so many things to look forward to. I'm building up episode 6 in my head
Yeah.
so much more than it should be, but
I'm still stuck
We'll find out.
on if they can go back to a moment in time. I'm still stuck on the idea of like, what if they choose not to go meet He Who Remains and start that whole, what basically led into this season. But what would be the consequences of that?
Yeah.
What would happen from that?
And like, would Kang even be like an issue for everyone else if that never happened? Because he was just kind of like living his life at the end of time. Nobody got upset until he died. So
yeah, it's like He Who Remains, I'm taking, is essentially like the variant of Kang that remains. So what happened to all the other variants?
They're dead from the Time War.
there's there this is like Marvel's thing, right? Is they hit us with 1,000 things and we have 1,000 questions, and then they're like, we're not going to answer any of them, and they don't. And it's always, I think, so much one way, and then at the end of the season I'm like, wow, that went a completely different direction than I thought that we were going. So I don't even know what to think or what to potentially look forward to other than this Thor theory now. So I can't even say hope you're listening, Disney, because you've already shot this and edited it and you're ready to put out the episode at the end of the week. So
They could have snuck over Chris Hemsworth. We would never know.
You're right. We brought him in there.
Mm-hmm. Like they sneak Taylor Swift in and out of those concerts. They just put them in a big box and pretend like it's equipment.
Exactly. All those boxes that we saw throughout this entire series, he's just been in them.
He's been in all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super excited. I'm still a little irked that we're not getting like actual post-credit scenes. I think there's like a lot of, especially with a 6-episode series, you'd think that they would have more things to cram in here. So I'll say maybe next time, but I know they won't. They always trick us. Episode 1, they're like, oh yeah, post-credit scene. Episode 2 through 6, nah. You just get the episode. Hope you enjoy it.
We have gotten the occasional fun credits song, and that is it.
Yeah. Which not good enough unless you get like one of the actors to sing the song, and then I'll take it.
Get Robert Downey Jr. He sings.
Yeah.
That would be a treat for us.
Yeah, I'd be into it.
Just think of like how this is like the blip times a million, because it's like with the blip, you're just, it's just affecting, the people, like, or like, beings. It's not affecting like their surroundings. Like in this whole scenario, you turn around and everything you see and know is spaghettified.
Right, spaghetti.
Like,
it is interesting how it works too. The couple times that we see it, it seems to like slowly work its way across things. And it was interesting when it happens to Sylvie, because she has the time doodad. I don't even know what to call it, because she's Kang's time. Yeah, but it's like his weird circle one. And it seems like she's the last thing to be affected when that happens. I wonder if that TemPad has anything to do with that. Like, does it hold any sort of reign over time, or is it just a tool that you use? Because they haven't really explained how it works. We know how like the TemPads work. Right. I mean, within reason that the show would show us, but we don't really know how hers works since it's so different. It's like just a disc that does she push on it in different places to put in where she wants to go? Does she just think about where she wants to go and a portal opens up?
I don't know. I do wish
they haven't explained it.
Had more insight into that. Yeah.
I mean, it has to be more powerful than the average TemPad. It was He Who Remains. So it has to do something better than all the other ones.
Right.
I just don't know if that's going to like come to mean anything in this series, or if it's just a way to be like, Sylvie has a TemPad and it doesn't have to be tied to the TVA. Who knows? Somebody at Marvel. But yeah, did we miss anything that you guys want to talk about these 2 episodes? All right. I do not remember the question, and I do not know where the piece of paper is where I wrote the question down on. So, no question to answer this week, but we will ask a question this week. I'm just going to stick with space because I'm thinking, while you were talking about spaghettification, I was looking it up immediately because I was like, well, I want to see, are there pictures of spaghetti people? So I will say, what do you think? If you were to go through a black hole and you were turned into a spaghetti, when you come out the other side, do you come out the other side as a spaghetti person, or do you come out the other side as a regular person? Maybe somebody that like studies this listens to the show and they'll be able to tell us the exact scientific answer. I would love to know. This is learning for me.
I apologize to that person for my very poor explanation earlier.
It sounded scientific to me. But yeah, that'll be this is a science podcast. Space and time exploration science podcast. So that'll be our question for next week. I will do a little research before I come, and if I see any comment leavers leave a comment with their answer, we'll talk about their answer on the podcast as well. But thank you all for listening this week. Don't forget to join us next week for the exciting conclusion of Loki Season 2, where all of our minds will be turned to spaghetti with what happens next. Ooh. See you all next week.
Bye.
No, this is serious. Loki's not playing around. He's a little bit scary. They're going to squish people in boxes.
And Miss Minutes is going to enjoy it.
Yeah. She's going to be turned into a freak of clock nature when they put her face on a mannequin.
I didn't get to record the episode where Miss Minutes had been like telling Kang, like, why didn't you make me into a real lady? And then we could have been together. I was not here for that episode, was I?
No.
Because I had so much to say about how weird that was.
I still see it sometimes. It's a horrifying image when they put her face on that mannequin. It is absolutely disgusting.
Yes. So bad.
I could see that being like, we've been talking about wanting to go hard next year for Halloween and like super decorate the house. And like, what are we going to do? That was one of my choices, was to have just like a bunch of mannequins and one of them would have Miss Minutes' face. But Nicole was like, I don't get it because she doesn't watch the show. I was like, I don't worry. We'll do something else. Stuff of nightmares.